My darling bride is traveling back to the US for a month to visit friends and family, which means I'm alone for this video. But I don't think she really has an opinion on this particular topic, which means this is a good one for me to go solo. And with that, welcome back to the Gentleman Bon Vivant. And speaking of the topic today, this this is a Mont Blanc John Lennon commemoration limited edition fountain pen. This was a gift from my Fati on his very first visit to me here in Germany. We were shopping around in Trier, one of the oldest cities on earth, and we saw this pen in the collector's window. I won't reveal the price, but let's suffice it to say that it was both a stunning moment and I was beyond grateful when he put that, or well, pretty much Mike dropped that black metal credit card on the counter. You could hear the kadunk across the room, just clink. It was crazy. And the next thing you knew, I was the proud owner of one of the most prestigious pens, one of the most prestigious pens in the world. Now, I have been using a fountain pen since undergraduate. In fact, my first fountain pen was just a cheap Pelikan. It was a colorful bright blue, I think in green. It was like acrylic, maybe it was made of plastic. And I purchased it brand new at a local art supply shop for about 20 bucks. And that was a long time ago. I was later gifted with a Mont Blanc Meisterstück when I finished my undergraduate degree. Thank you, Mrs. Webb. But that pen sadly didn't make it back from Iraq. Yes, I even took a fountain pen to a combat zone. On my second deployment, it did not survive. When I got home and got out of the Army, I picked up a sterling silver cross fountain pen. Then I wound up with a Kaweco Sport, as you can see here in this photograph. But then when my father, Fati, changed my world, this one came into my life and it's been in there ever since. So what is it about a fountain pen that makes the fountain pen special? Why do they stand out? And what does it say about a gentleman who writes with one? To answer these questions and better develop an argument that is either pro or con, let's dive into the differences. First of all, this is a picture of Jerry Lynn's Mont Blanc fountain pen, ballpoint pen. It's a gorgeous and handy little writing instrument with 4 different color cartridges in one. I share this image because I want to make it clear that elegance is available in either fountain or ballpoint. It is a simple matter of preference. The world's finest pen makers typically produce both ballpoint and fountain pens, so it's never a question of style or brand. So what are the differences? For one, a fountain pen uses a liquid-based ink, whereas a ballpoint uses an oil-based ink. And ballpoint pens clearly dominate the market. But since the ink is oil-based, your writing experience may not feel so fluid. Ballpoint pens, or ball pens as many refer to them, give off less ink on paper than a fountain pen. And this can be an advantage, especially if you're writing on like cheap paper or less than ideal surfaces, such as those thin little paper receipts they give you at the table at the restaurant, or those coarse rough paper stocks, or maybe like a t-shirt or cloth. Ball pens are perhaps also more practical. They're certainly less complicated to refill since the ink in ball pens come in cartridges, whereas quality fountain pens, like this particular Mont Blanc, are manually refilled via a built-in piston and pump system. And it would be a certain nightmare scenario if one were a bit too clumsy or unfamiliar with the process. But the complexity of these types of pens is also one of the very reasons for the appeal. Now, there are quality fountain pens that use ink like cartridges as well, just like these, for example. They simply snap into place when you punch the hole in the delivery and when you put it into the barrel of the pen, and it allows the ink to flow to the nib. Now, this variety makes them just as practical as the ball pen. By the way, this is the nib. And ball pens need to be held in a particular, more or less particular, perpendicular position to the table, whereas a fountain pen allows you to write in a more natural position. So piston pump fountain pens have a variety of available inks. These 3 colors of mine, black, blue, and lavender purple, are also surprisingly affordable. Fountain pens come with a variety of nibs as well. You can select fine point nibs for fine strokes, Thick nibs allow for bolder written notes, and curved nibs give the writer the ability to end their characters with a flourish. So, there are some visuals in our world that really speak in almost archetypal elegance. The martini glass, for one. When one sees a martini or a coupe cocktail glass, the jet set mid century modern motif comes to mind immediately, especially when you contrast it with the red pimento inside the pit of a green olive. Or maybe it's the elegant bohemian avant garde of the well dressed roaring 20s that comes to your mind. But the classic cocktail glass really does offer a thing of beauty, and so is the fountain pen. Lastly, the fountain pens are environmentally friendly. When my pen runs out of ink, I don't throw it away. I simply refill it. You might be surprised at the sheer number of plastic disposable pens cluttering up over in landfills and dumps. And so, again, writing with a fountain pen does not have to be cost prohibitive. There are quality fountain pens available everywhere, from $20 to tens of thousands of dollars. So you can put one in your budget somewhere where it fits, just like I did as a young undergraduate literature major. But what stands out to me is the complexity and stylishness of using a classic fountain pen versus a ball pen. It tells everyone around you that there is a place for tradition in your heart. That, to put it another way, you are a deliberate and confident gentleman who takes the necessary time to put your best foot forward, to stand out in a positive way. Consider the fountain pen the same way you would consider a necessary accessory, as much a distinction as a mechanical watch, precious jewelry, your wardrobe, or your grooming. And with that, all I can say is, while there have been many times in my life I've had no money, I have never been poor. And we'll see you on the next episode of Living Le Bon Vivant, The Gentleman.